Hey everybody, this is Max from maxstanselphotography.com. This is a new blog in my Lightroom series, a new lesson, if you will. And you can find this on my blog tab of my website. So come visit it and check it out. I put new stuff up every so often, and so please come check it out. Let's get started. We're going to go to the Lightroom here, and we're in the Develop module. Here we are in the Develop module. Now this is going to be part one of a two-part series on the Develop module. Develop module has so much stuff I wanted to kind of separate it. So I've separated it between global corrections, which is what Lightroom does the best, and then selective corrections, which will be part two. And part two is going to be making selective corrections, maybe if I just wanted to change the color of something over here or change something over here instead of doing the whole picture. So we're going to start on global corrections. Let's start on this left-hand side. This left-hand side has all your presets and everything in it, and it's pretty cool. And you can kind of just move your cursor over the presets, and you can see up here in the preview, the navigator pane, I guess it's called, navigator pane, it will change colors. It will do whatever one you're over. It'll give you a little preview of what's going on. So that's kind of cool to check out. Now, Lightroom comes with a lot of different presets. You see as I scroll through here, you can get an antique look, you can get all kinds of different sepia tones, you can get all kinds of different tones that you want. And in color, you can give it an aged looking photo for color. You can do a lot of different things. You can also get a lot of free presets through the web on different people's sites. They've created different presets. You can actually create your own presets. If there's a certain way that you like to do your photographs all the time, you can create a preset that will do all that for you. I'm not going to show you that today, but that might be another vlog sometime. But you can do all that, and you can buy presets. People make and sell presets over the web that you can get and install in your Lightroom. So anyway, so that's pretty much the left-hand side. Also, you have a fit and fill. This is actually telling how this actually fills or goes into the screen. Fill, you can see it brings it all the way up. Fit, you can go in 1-on-1, so that's 100%, 1 to 2, half, to check things like your sharpness, how well in focus the photograph is. So that's one way to do it. Also, while I'm talking about that, if you're in this pane and you click on it, boom, it will come into 1-to-1 or 1 to 2, whatever you have it set at. I got it set at 1 to 2 right now. But if I wanted it 1-to-1, it can come in 1-to-1. So here I can come in 1-to-1. Take a second, it'll pop in there, and there you go. You can see it's nice and sharp. All right. So that's pretty much the left-hand side. There's not much more. You can come over here. You can look at different snapshots of different things. You can create snapshots of where you're at. You can cancel out of that, and so you can go back in history. There is a history. Then you can come down to all your collections, just like you could in the other tabs. But I don't usually mess with those too much. The only thing I mess with over here is pretty much the presets and the navigator pane and the fit and fill. And of course, you can size this any way you want to, just by going on the side and making it bigger or smaller. All right, so let's go to the right-hand side. Now, the right-hand side is where all the work gets done. And if we start at the top, you notice we have a histogram. Now, a histogram can be a whole discussion, a whole blog all in itself. There's so many pros and cons and different things about the histogram. But basically, it's a bar graph. It's showing how many pixels, either dark or light, are in your photograph. So if you look at this, on this side of the histogram is the blacks. So this is where all the blacks are. And over here is all the whites, the pure whites. And anywhere in between, that's how many pixels you have of all the different colors, or all the different lightnesses, all the different shades of gray, as you will. So a good photograph will not be peeked out like this one is. This one's peeked out on the right. And I've got the little triangle set to peek out. You notice if I rub my mouse over that little triangle, it'll show you all the places that are are burnt out. And you can see up at the top, the sky is blown out. Now, there's a couple different ways we can change that. I can actually click on here and just drag to the left, and that will, notice how it moves my histogram over. I'm still peaked out in the top because that's pretty much blown out. Ain't a whole lot I can do there. Oops, I've closed that. Let me open that up. All right, so we're back to the original. All right, so let's, actually we're not. Let me come back here. And I'm going to put that back. So now it's back to where it was. If you're at the top of any of these corrections, if you want to get back to where you were, like if I've moved this slider here and move this slider over here and move that one, and oh, I didn't quite like that, you can double click on the tone and it'll put everything right back in the middle. All right, so that's the histogram, and that's about all I'm going to go over the histogram. There's a lot to it. Right here is going to be a lot of our selective controls, things that we can do to different parts of the photograph. Now, of course, we can crop the photograph. This is where our crop is. And we can go ahead and crop this photograph. If you notice down on the edges, it's kind of vignetted a little bit. And that was probably because of the lens I was using. But I'm just going to bring that in a little bit. And it's cropped. Now you can also move the photograph left or right. You can do a lot of things here. Just like any other crop tool, you can do a lot of stuff with it. Excuse me. And we have now the rest of these will be talked about in the next. In part 2, we'll go over these in detail. Part 2 of this blog. Alrighty. Now we come to this portion of the right side panel here, and we have a lot of stuff in here. We have our white balance. Now, white balance controls the whole, what all the colors look like, and as shot, it was at 4200. Now, I can come here and I can pick cloudy, daylight. Let's pick cloudy. And cloudy brings it up to 65, and you see how it changes the whole tone of the photograph. I can come here and I can pick fluorescent, and you see it makes everything kind of bluish looking color. I can come here and you can check daylight, which will be around 5500, and you see what it does to the color. You can also, I'm going to put this back to as shot. You can also take this little dropper here, and you can come and click on something that you think is kind of grayish or white. Something that you know is grayish or white. Let's go on this stone right here. And you can do that, and you can see how it changed the color, and it put it up to 4800. So that can also help you with your white balance, making sure everything is the correct color. And you could also grab this and this temp and move it to the left. You can see everything turns blue. Move it to the right, everything turns that kind of orangey color. And of course, we can go back to as shot. All right, so that's pretty much that portion. You can also change the tint, you know, from greenish to this purplish color. And I'm going to put it back as shot. All right, tone. Now, the tone has the exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. And you know, you can use these sliders. You can make the exposure darker. I think you can go 3 or 5 stops either way. 5 stops of light. Contrast, you can make it less contrast, more soft, or you can make it real hard looking. Highlights are the very tip-top highlights. You can bring them down as much as they'll go, or go up as much as you want to. Shadows. Shadows the same way. You can come down with shadows and up with shadows. So this will bring out the highlights that are hidden in those shadows. Like maybe down in here you can't really see anything right there, but if I bring the shadows up, now you can bring in the detail in here that was there. Whites will cover the white portion of your photograph, and the blacks will work on the blacks. So those are all pretty much self-explanatory. You also have an auto button up here. This auto button, Lightroom will kind of figure out where everything should be if you click on that, and that's where it thinks it should be. Now a lot of times it makes it a little bit too light for me, so I'll double click on that little dot right here and it'll put it back to 0, and usually that looks better to me. So that's all these controls. And like I say, if you watch my 5-step tango, one of the steps is to hit the auto button, let the auto button do its thing. The algorithms and everything that are in Lightroom are fantastic, and they can get you pretty close most of the time. And then you can minor adjust these as you like. Clarity. Clarity deals with contrast, but it deals with contrast in the midtones. And you can bring up the clarity and drop down the clarity and make it super soft. This is one, make it look dreamy, super soft. Or you can make it real hard and harsh. In landscapes, I actually bump it up a little bit. It helps with the, making everything pop a little bit. Vibrance. Vibrance brightens up colors that are not already vibrant, and this is mainly in the midtones. And notice I can take vibrance all the way down. It's almost black and white. And I can make them super vibrant where they're more vibrant than they should be. I don't usually go up too much on this. Usually under 25 is what I use on that. Saturation. Saturation deals with how saturated the colors are. We can go from no color all the way to the left or all the way to the right, as much color as we can get into them. So that's that. And of course, if you double click, it'll bring them right back to 0. The tone curve. The tone curve is another big thing that I don't really use as much. I use the sliders more than I do the tone curve. But you can use this tone curve and you can heighten and darken things, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it. People that are coming from Lightroom, or not Lightroom, but Photoshop, that use the tone curve quite a bit, this will be a great tool for you. I don't use it that much. And of course, if you double click on it, boom, it straightens that right back out. All right, this is the HSL Highlight, Saturation, and Luminance tab. And this is a great tab. You can do all kinds of stuff in here. You can use your dropper here. You can come to a color. Let's find something. Let's find this, anything that's that color. And we can lighten it up. We can darken. It says it thinks it's blue, but you see how I can change the color of everything that's that color. I can change the color of it. This can come in handy when you're using like a gray backdrop when you're doing portraits. And let's go look at the portraits and do that. Let's see, let me get back to the library tab. And let's just grab, I think one of these are portraits. That looks like a good one right there. And see if we can change that color. Actually, let's do this one right here. This is a good one. So here we go. We've got a green background. If I come over here, let's you can see it's already been messed with a little bit. Let's go back to Luminance, double click on it, and that's pretty much what it was like. Let's see, let me just reset everything. I'm just going to reset everything. Hit the reset button down there. That's the way the photograph was taken. But let's say I wanted this background to be a different color. I could click on that. I'm in Luminance right now. Let me go to Hue. Go to Hue. And now I can make it green. I can make it a purple color. I can make all different kinds of colors. The original color is a gray background, and I used the gel to make it a reddish or bluish color. So there we go. We've got the hue. We've got our saturation. So now let's see. Let's change this color. Let's make it. Let me click on it. Let's make it a greenish color. If I want to really saturate that color, I know it's green. So if I saturate it, I can make it a Well, maybe I can't. Let's see. Let's try this. Oop. Let me grab you. And now I can make it a lighter green, or kind of a darker green. Not a whole lot of color difference there. But I can make a little bit of difference because it's actually blue in there, isn't it? So, but luminance, I can come to luminance and I can make it darker or lighter. So I can do a whole bunch of things. There's so many different things you can do with this and all different types of photographs. So luminance deals with the brightness of it, how bright, how dark it's going to be. Saturation deals with the actual how deep the colors are. Are they a dark red, or are they dark blue, or are they a light blue? And then the hue deals with the color. You know, do I make it purple, make it blue, do I make it a green? You know, that deals with the colors. So there's a lot you can do with this, and this is a big, powerful tool that does a lot. Split toning is something else that I do not mess with too much. You can do lots of stuff with it. I have not messed with it a whole lot. That you can find all kinds of information out on the web on it. That's one I do not use too much. Detail. Let's see if we can go back to our previous picture. Let's see. I want to go library. I want to be here somewhere. Let me find it. Just to narrow it down real quick. I believe it was that one. Okay. So sharpening. Sharpening in the develop mode, you can click on this little bullseye here, and you can tell it where to look at for sharpening. If it doesn't, it picks a spot, but maybe it's not the spot you wanted. So if I want to look at this corner right here, boom, that's the part that I want to look for sharpening. And you can zoom in and you can kind of look at it. I've got it at a 1-to-1 ratio. It's actually going even further in for the sharpening. But you can see it's a fairly sharp, but you can adjust the amount of the sharpening. You can adjust the radius of the pixels, how many pixels you want it to look at, the detail, and you can also mask it by hitting the Alt key at the same time and dragging this over. You can tell it where to sharpen at. Maybe I only want these edges sharpened. I don't want the whole picture sharpened. Maybe I only want the edges sharpened. So I can go right here and tell it exactly where to sharpen. And it will sharpen just those spots for me. And I have a formula that works kind of good for landscapes. I'm in the 70 to 80 range. The radius I leave right where it's at. Detail is about 20-ish. And my masking is usually somewhere in the 20s. But like I say, you can hold down the Alt and tell it to do that. And that usually does a really fine job of sharpening for me. That's just a formula for me. You'll have to find something that works for you. Noise reduction. How much noise is there in your photograph? What kind of pixels do you see in the noise? Noise hides in the dark areas of your photograph. This one does not have a whole lot of noise, but you can add noise reduction. You can use this luminance slider and slide it, and it'll do its thing. And it'll get rid of the noise. One thing you got to be careful of is not to do too much, because it will soften your photograph if you do it way too much. And so that's noise reduction. And you can also do it in the different color aspects. Sometimes the blues get a little bit hairy on you. But anyway, so that's that one. Lens corrections. It's another big area here is the lens corrections. Now you notice my photograph is not real, it's not straight. Let's back out of here. It's not straight. You can tell by the edges that it's crooked. There's one thing you can do in here, in the basics. You can come here and go level. Hit level, and it will level it out for you. It looks at these vertical lines and it puts them vertically in there and makes it level for you. You can hit the auto button here, and it does quite a bit also. Under the basic, I always check enable profile corrections. That is corrections of your lens. So if I take that off, you can see how the picture changed. It is correcting faults of all the lenses, you know, of the lens that you're using. It knows the specific faults for every lens, and it corrects those. And all those lenses are, all the profiles are in your Lightroom. And so no matter what lens you're using, it will find it, and it knows which lens you're using, and it can correct them. And chromatic aberrations. These are fringes that happen around the edges of harder objects. I always have those two checked. So that's in the basic tab. The profile will show you what kind of lens it was, and you can correct or not correct. You know, you can override whatever it is. Color, it knows that lens might change the color a little bit, and this is remove chromatic aberrations, and you can, you know, tell it what to do. I leave it at the default, so I don't even mess with it. And then manually, sometimes if I have a super wide angle lens, I have to manually mess with it a little bit, and you can do that. You can scale, rotate, distortion. You can, you know, make it bulge out or skinnier. You can do all kinds of stuff you want to with it. I usually leave that unless there's something super wild looking at me. So that's the lens corrections part. Effects. You can vignette your photograph. You can vignette it. I don't use this part of, I actually vignette a different way, but you can vignette, you can change how it does it, whether it's dark, you can change the roundness of the vignette, you can feather the vignette, you can make it hard, or you can make it super soft, and then, you know, you can do different things with the vignette. I do not use this one. Just don't. Grain. I haven't used this a whole lot, but this can give it a old-timey-er look to it. You can grain it up. You can see with the grain there. If I take the grain out, it's out. But you can use this to, maybe you want to give it an old-timey feel and put some grain in there. You can increase the size of it, make it real grainy looking. If I back out, it kind of gives it that old-timey look, kind of. I don't use that either. Dehaze, I have not used this too much, but if you notice, if your shot has a little bit of haze on it, this will take this out. So, but I usually leave that at default, and it usually works great. All right, then we have camera calibrations. This preset, I leave it at 2012. I mean, there's a whole lots of ways to explain this, and I don't know if I'm smart enough to explain it as well as I should, but I usually leave that at default at 2012. Your custom profiles, camera profiles. This is how your camera sees color. I was using a D800 here, so you can see I have some custom. These are custom ones that I made. These are custom profiles that I actually made. And then Adobe Standard is just the standard, but my camera also came with these other ones. So if I click on Landscape, you can see how it changed the color in the photograph. If I go to Natural, it will change the whole photograph. My suggestion is, unless it really looks great in Adobe Standard, get it off Adobe Standard. Change it to Landscape or Portrait or whatever you're doing. If you do not have custom profiles made up, I've made some generic ones up. I got one for Flash, Overcast, Shade, Studio Light, Sunny, and these are ones that I have created with the Color Checker Passport. Where did I go? I disappeared. That I've made with the Color Checker Passport. And you can change, and you can adjust the reds and the primary colors here. I don't never ever mess with those, but you could. My eyes are not really great with color, so I don't mess with those too much. So you can do lots of things. That's pretty much the global corrections that you can make in Lightroom in the Develop module. You can do a lot more stuff in there, but those are the basic things that you can do there. Like I say, if you want specifics on how I do my photographs, you can look at the 5-Step Tango video. It's either on YouTube, or you can find it, slide through my blog and go to that particular one, and there's a video at the bottom of it that will explain how I actually go through and do my photographs. So anyway, for maxdancerphotography.com, please check out my website or check out my blog, and we'll talk to you later. Part 2 coming up next week. Later.